Good evening. Uganda's politics has been interspersed with notoriously fickle political alliances, from the Kabaka-Yeka, UPC and Whole Alliance to the recently touted the Democratic Alliance. Uganda continues to experiment with these alliances. However, like the unpredictability of politics, the president has reached out to UPC leader Jimmy Akena, a son of his adversary, the late Dr. Milton Obote. On the spotlight is the Honorable Jimmy Akena. Honorable Jimmy Akena, welcome to the show. You're on the spot tonight.
Thank you very much, Patrick. It's great to be back.
Should I address you as a faction leader or the leader of the UPC or the president of the UPC party? There has been that controversy.
The controversy is somewhat concocted or created. We had Olaro Tunu was party president. He served his 5 years. Delayed in the process of electing another leader. Matter was taken to court. We got a ruling by Justice Musota, which gave him a small lease of life as de facto. And the legal term for de facto, it means illegal and illegitimate. But the court could not throw UPC into a vacuum. But his being in office was predicated on certain events to occur. And that was the elections within the party and the roadmap which he had submitted in court. So by no stretch of the imagination, from basically 12th of June, Olaro Tunu could not claim to be the UPC leader. And then recently, at the end of last month, there was another ruling by Justice Yasin Nyanzi, which concurred with Justice Musota's ruling and made it quite clear. There is a president, and I'm the president of the Uganda People's Congress.
The president of the Uganda People's Congress. Just a few days ago, the NRM candidate and president of this country told journalists at a press conference that Jimmy Akena is a man I can deal with. The others, no, he cannot. That you're a man he can do business with. For the UPC diehards watching you and listening to you tonight, they would wonder what kind of business would you deal with President Museveni and NRM chairman with whom you're supposed to be in a competition for power?
Fair question. I would state quite clearly that by doing business, it is discussing national issues. And in all my politics, which I've been involved in, I don't have a difficulty talking to leaders. In this electoral period, we have had conversations with basically all the three leading teams of presidential candidates have approached us for their for our support for their presidential bid, and we have given them a fair hearing. Now, on a more serious or practical note, we have to look at Uganda as bigger than any of its component parts. There's this tendency these days in Ugandan politics to look at what you stand against rather than what you stand for. So there are people who've defined themselves as they are opposed to Museveni. It's okay to be opposed to Museveni, it's your right. But how far do you take that opposition? Does it mean that if you're opposed to Museveni, anybody who's opposed to Museveni is a friend? And to stretch it, because we had to deal with this question, especially 2006, 2007, you have to deal with characters like Joseph Kony and the LRA. Kony was clearly opposed to Museveni, but how he was conducting his war, there were a lot of victims. Kony never recruited volunteers. He abducted children. He went to schools and turned these children into killing machines. Now, is it, even at that time when we raised issue that this war or the conduct of coin has to be stopped. There were those who condemned people like me who said, no, there's a problem here. We're not willing to accept. Even if you say that I am opposed to Museveni, it does not mean I'm going to ally with somebody who is on the extreme end. I've just brought that example to put it in context. You can disagree, but you can disagree in an agreeable fashion. Now, as a congressman, what does UPC stand for? Let us not define UPC by what we stand against. UPC, the core of UPC, or the central point of UPC, is service to the people. In that our political philosophy, the greatest asset Uganda has is its people. Now, everything we do must be to benefit its people. Not to look at high growth figures. I mean, even if we get 20% growth in the economy, but it's not translating to improving in the standard of living of the majority of the citizens of Uganda, we will not be satisfied as UPC. So our core interest is the well-being of the citizens of Uganda and how that translates through the policy and the politics.
We are right in the middle of an election period.
True.
You're talking about the well-being of the people of Uganda. They are looking at all those contending for power.
Mm-hmm.
And you as a party president in an election period cannot be engaging another party and you want to deal with them. Because at least you can deal with them after the election, but right now it's jostling for power. Right now it's putting your best foot ahead and convincing Ugandans to take the ideas that you have, not to cutting deals somewhere in a palace.
Now, like I mentioned, all the teams of the three leading contenders have approached us for support of their candidature. We are listening to all of them. As UPC in our National Council, we came up with a clear direction as to where we're going. In the 2016 elections, we're increasing our members into the National Parliament and into local governments, all the way down to LC1. Our campaign, or the marching orders, which every UPC member must abide by, is offer yourself for election. If you're not standing, campaign for a UPC candidate for the elected positions which we're competing for to increase our numbers. That is our task. We had laid it out and we made it very clear. I also made an issue, and I put it out in the public, that I am targeting 2021. This election and the 5 years following is to build and strengthen the party, to make it more vibrant, more organized, to compete for national office.
You are targeting 2021 for the presidency, is that what
for the presidency, yes.
But then, what kind of engagement, Honorable Akena, do you have with candidate Museveni, who is also the president, as of now? What kind of talking are you having? If you can be explicit.
There's a limit to how explicit I can be in that.
And why is that?
In that, one, I listen, and I mentioned that we're not only talking to Museveni, other candidates have approached us. I listen. Matters where what I've read in the media is that people are running so far ahead of themselves. People are talking about alliance. I think even in your introduction you talked about alliances. An alliance is a formal agreement which parties to the alliance agree to. Now, in the context of UPC and based on our constitution, an alliance can only be approved by the organs of the party. Alliances are normally approved by the National Council. I've even seen people going to the extreme of saying a merger. In the context of UPC, based on the UPC constitution, if you're talking about a merger, you have to go to the delegates conference because it will affect the constitution of the party in order to be able to accommodate. So, merger, alliance are not on the table. All the candidates who have approached us are seeking our support or the influence where we have to support their candidature. Now, within the context of the discussion, where matters come out, and these are matters where the party needs to pronounce themselves on, we will call the National Council, discuss it, and come up with a position.
But if UPC is a party worth a name, why would we see, for example, members of your party, high-ranking, at the level of members of parliament, the former party president, campaigning the other day. They call a woman member of parliament, I think, campaigning for President Museveni. We see Dr. Laro Tunu campaigning for Amama Mbabazi, and others have moved with Dr. Besigye. Where is UPC in all this? Where is Uganda's party that has been in power twice?
Now,
under your leadership, where is it?
Post-elections, what I hope to see is an increased representation of UPC in elective positions. That was the target for the 2016 election. We want more members of parliament, we want more district chairmen, we want more councillors, we want more sub-county chairmen. Now, irrespective of what happens on February 18th, UPC members will be part of these elective bodies and will continue in interacting with whichever government is elected. At this stage, since we don't have a presidential candidate, and our constitution talks about that to lose membership, you campaign for a candidate against a UPC candidate. That is when you lose your membership. Of course, through due process, through the disciplinary committee, and then definitely to the organ. But in this particular case, we have had to take the liberal position of largely allowing members to express themselves or to have their preference. Our core values remain the same, and our core values will inform any engagements with any political party and any future government which is going to be formed, and that we are sticking by what UPC stands for. Yes, we have Olaro Tunu supporting Mbabazi. There's the Honorable Jacinto Ogwal supporting Mbabazi. You have like Honorable Joy supporting Museveni. We've also had some senior members like Yona Kanyomozi on the Kizza Besigye campaign trail. As far as I'm concerned, they remain members of UPC.
That shows you a party in tatters, scattered all over, everywhere and nowhere.
No, it's not nowhere. We are fielding candidates. We are working on promoting our candidates based on the values which we stand for. We don't have a presidential candidate in this election, and that was a conscious decision. Let us build our capacity. You know, very often, or what we've seen in previous elections, we have fielded candidates. My view is for UPC to play a very positive role in Uganda's development, we need to get back to the grassroots.
But look, you are senior members who are on different political platforms. You know, the candidates they are supporting have conflicting kind of manifestos. You know, those with Mbabazi are talking about going forward. Those with President Museveni are saying no change. Those with the best are saying defiance. You know, so at the end of the day, what message that comes in as central for members of UPC who are scattered?
UPC has a mission, and its mission is tied with the development of Uganda. And there are key aspects where UPC members have to focus on. UPC, as far as I'm concerned, is the only party which is really what used to be called center-left. And as I tried to bring it in the introduction, party which the key focus is the people. The people are central in all of its aspects. It is not a party which is going to alienate itself from the people. The people's struggle is a UPC struggle. Where UPC succeeds is where the people have succeeded. Now, in the context of this upcoming election, I think there are other factors which come in. And it is one of the reasons which has informed our position that you need to engage President Museveni and NRM. We're not going to wish them out of Uganda. We're going to compete against them. Win or lose, they remain part of the Uganda politic. If you try to project what will the 10th Parliament look like, I suspect you believe there'll be NRM members of Parliament. There'll be FDC members of Parliament. There'll be DP members of Parliament. There'll be UPC members of Parliament, and there'll be independent members. So these interactions will have to continue. it does not hurt that if you can communicate at this stage before the election. And our politics must not be at the level whereby I can't sit in the same room with you. Even if your policies and my policies are totally different, there must be more that binds us together as Ugandans.
But as a man who grew up on the feet of the Grandmaster, the late Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, do you think, the African saying, this is when they say somebody turning in their grave, with all respect, because when the NRM government came into power in 1986, well, they talked about all the past leaders, called them names, swines and all that. I do not think the real elders in UPC, the diehards, those who started the struggle in UPC, have their blessings. I don't think you do.
On the question of abuse, you're not going to hear abuse from me. I think by learning at the feet of the master, abuse...
Probably you didn't pick.
No, I picked that one. There's no need to abuse. So from my side, I am not going to be abusing any of the leaders, irrespective of whether we agree or disagree. Even if we disagree on a very serious note, I am not going to resort to abuse as a sign of showing my dislike. I feel we need to move in a direction whereby we preserve the unity and integrity of the country. In your introduction, you mentioned the UPC-KY alliance as unholy. To some, it might have been unholy. But if you look at the process leading to independence, there was a huge section of Uganda, Buganda specifically, which had misgivings about independence. And at one stage, the story of secession was there before independence. There were threats of secession. Going to the 1961 elections, there was a serious boycott in Buganda where only 36,000 people registered. And when it came to voting, it was even far worse. Now, you had a situation, you're going to independence, a huge part of Uganda has not participated in the process leading to independence. What is independence going to be like? Voices of secession were growing stronger. How do you get that part of Uganda to share in this vision of our country, this slogan of one Uganda, one people, one country? If you look in the UPC annals, it is there. And that was the whole issue. One Uganda. We need to be a united country. Now, on that basis, UPC, led by Milton Obote, was prepared to reach out to a political group which did not share the ideals and the processes of UPC on the basis of preserving the unity or, at that time, birthing a united country. At this stage, we still have issues about unity. There's a serious divide, north-south divide. There are issues which have developed. How are we going to tackle them if we cannot talk?
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to start from that point, because your master, who happened also to be your father, described the current president of Uganda as a gunman. And that is the man you learned from. So how far do you go in dealing with him? And how does that affect your relationship with the traditional leaders of the Uganda People's Congress, especially in your bastion of Lango? We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Kamara, and my guest tonight is the President of the Uganda People's Congress and Member of Parliament representing Leda Municipality, the Honorable Jimmy Akena. Listening to your late father on a radio show with Andrew Mwenda, he described the President of the country today as a gunman. He said he's not a Democrat, Andrew. He's a gunman. I mean, is that the point where you depart with your late father? Say maybe he never got it right.
No, actually, I don't depart with him at all. History of NRM, how did they get to government? it was through the gun. And in '86, of course, there had been a coup. They had been fighting for a number of years. They took over in January 1986 by the gun. Political party activities were literally outlawed. There was supposed to be an interim period of 4 years. In 1989, it was extended for another 5 years. Then we went through the process of the new constitution, putting up the new constitution. Then when the constitution came into force in 1995, it still had clauses which did not allow multipartism. And that process continued, and the struggle which my late father was involved in was the struggle for multipartism. 2004 November, we got a ruling in court which basically allowed for parties to operate. 2005, there was also the additional referendum which brought back multipartism, and at that time we were preparing for his return, and the whole issue was he was going to return. We're going to party was going to compete in elections, because UPC, despite all the accusations we have undergone, has always come to office through elections, through talking to the people, presenting your program, and getting into government. It is something which we intend to uphold. A UPC getting to government is going to be through open discussions with the citizens of Uganda, a voting, and you walk into State House through the main gate, not by force of arms. Now, a lot has happened from 1986, the 1996 elections, which was under no party, except you had the movement, organization, and setup. At that election, UPC supported Semugerere. And even with resources, personnel, Semugerere's candidature was supported by UPC, despite the accusations which had existed between DP and UPC. If you recall, Semugerere talked about, Dr. Semugerere was talking about the Black Book, which he kept threatening to make public. I don't know if it has ever been made public, but UPC was able to take a step back and say, for the sake of democracy, we are willing to support the candidature of Dr. Semugerere. So, 96, UPC didn't have a candidate, but we still supported a candidate. Now, from 2005, we've now had the multipartism getting back onto the ground. As a party which has undergone the vilification and the attacks over 20 years, definitely we have suffered the damage. We have been blacklisted, and everything has been said about UPC. But now, coming to the 2016 elections, all the three leading contenders are interested in UPC support. I think that in itself speaks a big milestone, that the pariah of yesterday is being quoted by leading contenders. And UPC, we have tried in all our engagements at different times to try and engage in a mature fashion with the interests of Uganda at the forefront.
There is a talk, Honorable Jimmy Akena, of money having exchanged hands. In fact, they put a price tag that you took $1 billion Uganda shillings. Probably this is the best moment to make it clear, because it has also been seconded or by one of the party spokesperson, actually, said there was, I think it's Michael Racho Sinde, said there was a proposal tabled by NRM for collaboration with $1 billion shillings figure attached to it.
No, I think that whatever is being attributed to Michael is completely wrong. On the accusations raised by Joseph Bossa, I have spoken to my lawyers, and they are going to write to him on that basis. But I know where Bossa is coming from. Bossa and Otunu, for the 5 years they were in office, were not calling the party organs to discuss party matters and the like. And the issue was they didn't have money. But the price tag they put for National Council and Delegates Conference was close to that 1 billion. Now, when we were able to hold a delegates conference, and then like a month or so later to be able to hold the National Council. In Bossa's mind, because they have never been engaged in organizing party activities and having party meetings, they assume that where would somebody get $1 billion? But you don't need $1 billion to hold a meeting. And the dedication of UPC members, I think they underestimated it. It's not something where if you call UPC members and say, we're going to have a meeting, there's no transport refund and whatever, we're going to discuss party matters, UPC members will attend. Those of us who've been engaged in UPC meetings, we have gone through it. I mean, sitting down, having a glass of water, fine. If there's no water, no problem. If there's no lunch and you're having your menvu bogoya, there's no problem. If it is groundnuts, there's no problem. We are able and we've operated under difficult circumstances. Now, if that assumption, and it's quite common, Patrick, you can work very hard to develop, you're building your home, but you are struggling. Somebody else is getting similar money, but he's possibly going out to gamble, thinking that they're going to win something from, you know, the football, sports betting and whatever, you're going to get a huge thing and build a mansion. But maybe you're taking your resources bit by bit, every month you're investing. After some years, you'll have a structure. Then somebody comes up and says, no, how did Patrick put up that structure? He stole money. Because you see the structure, it does not mean somebody stole. The people work. Now, in this particular instance,
yes,
Bossa is saying, because we had the conferences, we had to have received $1 billion. But that is total nonsense. We have held meetings before Bossa came in. And some of the meetings were under serious hardship.
But Michael Osinde actually says that proposal had been tabled. And Michael Osinde speaks for your party.
In this particular issue, if we either has been misquoted, but Michael Osinde as a spokesman, there's no such information which we have cleared. And Michael Osinde had not been in any of the meetings I have described. The meetings with the Go Forward team were led by the UPC Secretary General. The meeting which we had with President Yoweri Museveni was largely at parliamentary level. The meetings I have held with some of the members of FDC, no meeting was Michael Osinde there. So this issue of $1 billion discussion or whatever, no, that is not there. And it's not on the table. The issues which we need to talk about is not money issues. It is how we can deal with the wider issue of transition.
You know, there's a feeling that President Museveni finds you, with all respect, malleable, somebody he can deal with, flexible to deal with. And there are those who have been pointing to your relationship with the head of state ever since you came back from the exile. You know, renovating your personal homes in Kololo and Akokoro. You know, attending your wedding and giving a heavy contribution, a big contribution at your wedding. And then they're saying, okay, it's no brainer. He's now totally gone.
No, the whole issue of the renovation of the homes was part of the negotiation for my late father's body to come back to Uganda. Initially, it was a big problem. And at the first instance, there was no acceptance of his body to return. Now, at that time, I was discussing with the South African authorities through the Secretary General, and of course, Thabo Mbeki was involved in that discussion. Now, when we could not come to Uganda, I negotiated with the Zambian government to go for temporary burial.
In Lusaka?
In Lusaka. And we had spoken to the Zambian authorities, it was agreed and preparation started. Now, while that was going on, there were discussions going on in Uganda, which had cabinet, there was a Lango parliamentary group, there was members of UPC, and also there were members of the clan involved in this joint discussion. And there were some members of cabinet who took a very strong position to say the late president's body must be brought back and it must be accorded a state funeral. So a lot of these debates were there, and part of the issues which were agreed in that process, while some of us were still in South Africa, busy negotiating with the Zambian authorities and speaking to the South Africans, it was agreed in these meetings that the homes, personal homes, will be returned, and they shall be restored to what they were before the occupation by the army. Now, Kololo was occupied by the army for 20 years. Later was occupied by the army. There was destruction in '87, which destroyed the Kokoro home. Now, those agreements were made. I was not in the picture. There was no Obote in those negotiations. There was NRM government, there was, contingent from UPC, there was Lango Parliamentary Group, but different institutions. Now, if government went ahead and fulfilled its issue, it should not be attributed that because I have a special relationship. That is not the case. So, renovating the houses, I think it's within our rights. There's one issue which is yet to be addressed.
Yeah, those who peeped into the envelope and say you could have gotten 50 million shillings on the day you made your marriage vows from the president.
I dispute the figure, but courtesy does not permit me to start announcing wedding gifts. I'm sure it's not proper. Whatever you received, you don't go around announcing this and whatever. So courtesy,
but you received some money.
Courtesy does not allow me to go into the specifics. But the one issue I wanted to raise, 20 years the property was occupied by the army. We are still, as a family, demanding the rent. Yes, you occupied our personal property for 20 years, please, can you pay?
We're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'll be opening the line so that you two at home or wherever you are, you can call and tell us what you think about this, whether it's an alliance or just an engagement or a cooperation or something they can work with for the betterment of Uganda. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara, and my guest tonight is the President of the Uganda People's Congress and Member of Parliament representing Lira Municipality, the Honorable Jimmy Akena. How do you intend to rein in or bring back to line all those members of yours, of your party, who are senior and they have taken different directions? For the sake of the grassroots leaders, for the grassroots supporters, wherever they could be, because now they are getting disjointed kind of information that is not coherent.
The ones who I really want to appeal to or to raise issue with are those who are discouraging UPC members from taking up the party flag. The position I've taken, and from the ruling which you got from Justice Nyanzi, was those who wish to stand on a UPC ticket, I will support. If Joseph Bossa tomorrow comes up and tells me that he's standing in Makinde as he stood last time, I would offer him all the possible support to run for that seat. And if he requests me to campaign on his behalf, I'll be there. The same would apply if Olaro Tunu is going to stand in Kitgum Municipality, the new constituency, or in Chwa, his home area, or some other constituency. I will definitely be there. But we have a tendency, there are some UPC members who do not want to offer themselves for candidate on the UPC ticket, want to discourage others, and are attacking other UPC members. You can't have it always.
So your party is in disarray? Your party is in conflict? Your house is not in order? That's what you've just said?
No, I'm saying that there are some leaders who are not playing by any clear rules. And this has been coming up in that there are rumors that there's going to be a registration of a political party around March of next year, and they're more geared towards that one. I am in UPC, I'll remain in UPC. The core values of UPC, I cannot depart from. I am looking at strengthening UPC, expanding, and look at it gradually. So the focus, February is not a be-all or end-all election, because like I said earlier, we are still going to be having to coexist. whatever the outcome of the elections, we're going to coexist with whoever is going to be elected. And as such, we're talking to all parties. So where you say that we're in disarray, UPC is perhaps one only party which can say that we have members here. But that it's not limited to UPC. I saw my honorable colleague, Beatrice Anywa, the FDC Member of Parliament for Kitgum. I saw her doing the nomination of Mama Mbabasi. So you have this issue. It's a fluid situation, and in that particular case, in FDC, they do have a presidential candidate. So I think that one creates
Is it not too ambitious on your side to say that 2016 you're targeting at the presidency, yet when you walk across Uganda, you do not feel or hear the party Uganda People's Congress? The only base remains to be Lango.
Not quite. If you look at what we've been able to go through in nominations.
Where are members of parliament of UPC anywhere else apart from Lango?
Now, in 2006, we had members of parliament, 2 from West Nile, from Teso, from Lango, and from Acholi. Today, following the 2011 elections, we increased in Lango and lost out in other areas. 2016, we want to get back. Now, what happened in 2010, 2011 may have an effect of what caused us to shrink. But we had members in West Nile, we had members in Acholi, Lango, and Teso. Then we had councillors, lower level members elected on UPC ticket from diverse areas. The rebuilding process is to get back there. Our mission has not ended. Our tasks continue, and that is what we're going to work for.
And that gives you a solid base for you to even have the audacity of hope that 2016 is your time? 2021 is your time?
2021, that is the target we're going to work for. It's a program which has been approved by the National Council. So essentially, although we're not running a sprint to 2016, we are kicking off to 2021 in that the next 5 years is going to be serious hard work of rebuilding the party and try to get it to a level where we're competitive at a national level.
I'll be opening the lines shortly so that Ugandans listening to you tonight and those watching you could be having questions or comments or something they want to add or disagree with, because some of them could be your supporters across Uganda. So I'll be picking as soon as I get them. But now, where is UPC now? In this election, you cannot specifically say, we are here. Isn't that terrible for a party of your history?
No. Like I said, National Council gave us a clear mandate. Increase your numbers. Get to the grassroots. Build your structures. Support lower level candidates. You cannot.
But you're not building structures, Honorable Akena. I don't hear you. Through the nature of the work that I do, in my line of duty, I have the opportunity to travel across Uganda. I've just even come from Busoga. I've been there for the last 3-4 days. The other day I was in Bundubuja and Kibale. I don't hear.
The first stage of any building, if you've been in construction, a lot of this construction, they fence it off. The first stage you do is you dig in. By the time the structure starts appearing and starts being visible, there's a strong foundation which you have put. Now the foundation, you don't shout about it. You don't shout that I've laid a foundation here. The fact that we're also going to be able to field candidates at lower levels in even places which you are going to be surprised, that is the beginning of the work.
Let us evolve.
Definitely is going to continue. It is going to be much larger. It's not a simple task. It is a lot of hard work, and it's really committed members of UPC who share that dream are willing to get out and work towards that goal of making UPC viable and competitive
and back in
such
power,
that we can win power in 2021.
Let me take Ugandans online tonight. Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, My name is Ogwangjo Haji Lira. I'm calling from Lira Municipal.
Okay.
Oh, in fact, I wanted to ask Honorable Akena Jimmy.
Yes.
Hello.
You're on air.
Haji, I'm calling from Lira. In fact, I wanted to ask Mr. Honorable Akena Jimmy. So my first question is about Jimmy, as I'd heard, he has gone to movement by this time, leaving us.
Okay. Unfortunately, you did not conclude your question, but you took a lot of time listening to yourself instead. And that was the reason why you had an echo in the studio and where you are there. Hello? Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Martin. I'm calling from Kinshasa.
Kinshasa?
Yes, sir.
Sangonini?
Sangomalamu.
Mbote? Okay, go right ahead with what you have to say today.
Yes, I just wanted to request the Honorable Minister, the MP, to briefly tell us about his education. Because one time he talked about having on the way because his father did not embezzle money.
Okay.
And secondly, I wanted him to briefly explain his relationship with Olaro Tunu, because all the time he's referring to himself as trying to reconstruct the party. What have they been doing with the Tunu? Thank you very much.
Thank you. A caller from the DRC there. It's strange. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
David calling from Kibali.
David Nixas, you're on air, sir.
Now, I want to ask
Honorable Jimmy.
That he is not clearly explaining to us the talks that they engage with President.
You need him to explain to you more what kind of talks at the level of engagement with the president.
Now, the next question of the three leading powers and whom does he clearly support?
Okay. If he's decided already, where is his vote going? Thank you. Let's take two more. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, I'm Richard down here.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry, I couldn't take that. Let me take just one more caller. Hello?
Hello, yes, this is Emma Jong from Tororo.
Emma Jong in Tororo, you're on air, sir.
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Honorable Akena for barring UPC. That's the only what I have for him.
Okay. All right. Just my producer says I can take one more caller. Hello?
Yes, please.
Good evening, sir.
Evening to you.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, good evening to you. I'm Philip. I'm calling from Gulu.
Stephen in Gulu, you're on air, sir.
Yeah, one time I had something, Bob Marley was saying that the gray-haired children. So when I say that Akena is the gray-haired children, what does it say about it?
Well, it's sending some kind of coded message, I suppose. I mean, Bob Marley, reggae, and remember the other day your old dreadlocks and all that. So probably you understand what he's trying to say. One more caller. Okay, hello? Hello?
Yes, hello?
Good evening, sir. What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Obo from Tororo.
Obong in Tororo, you're on air.
Yeah, now I just wanted Mr. Akena to be straightforward. Tell us that whether, yeah?
Okay.
Be straightforward.
Just to be straightforward, I think on the issue of engagement or coordination or cooperation. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Good evening, sir. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm always calling from Kanungu.
Morris in Kanungu.
Exactly.
You're on air, sir.
So, in my opinion, it wouldn't be a party supporting movement, but not UPC.
Could you repeat that, sir?
Let Mr. Akena tell Ugandans that he's fearing President Museveni to send him to exile. So that I'm very annoyed, even I can't mention a word. He's selling UPC away.
Okay, thank you, our caller from Kanungu. And let me close the lines now. I know many of you would want to talk and you have views and questions you want to ask, but the question of time, so let him respond to the issues now because we will be concluding thereafter.
Now, on this one, I want to be categorically clear. UPC is not for sale. There is no alliance. This is something which has been coming up time and time again. An alliance comes about in that it is presented to the party organ and the party organ adopts it. We have not had an alliance. We have been approached by the three leading contenders. Now I'm listening to people who are trying to moralize. Yes, Museveni fought UPC. Nobody disputes that one. Where was Kizza Besigye when they were fighting UPC? Were they not together? Where was Amama Mbabazi? Was he not part of it? Now, we have that reality. We have three leading contenders in a presidential election, all fought UPC at some point. I mentioned earlier that at a particular point, UPC supported the DP candidate. DP criticized and ran down UPC. As UPC, our task is to rebuild ourselves and to go out and to sell our message. You hear people who are saying, talk about UPC. What are they doing to build UPC? Are you offering yourself as a candidate? Are you campaigning for a candidate? Are you out in the field looking for UPC votes? In my particular case, that's what I'm going to do. And our National Council said, we're going to field parliamentary candidates. Members come forward. I will support parliamentary candidates. The last election, I campaigned for parliamentary candidates. I will campaign for UPC parliamentary candidate. I'm not campaigning for any candidate for any party except UPC. District chairman, UPC ticket, I'll be there to campaign for them. UPC councillors, I'll be there to campaign for them. This is building the process. If you imagine that UPC is as strong as it was in 1985 when it was overthrown, it is not. In 1985, there were 13 million Ugandans. If you go to the 1980 elections, I can give you the votes which UPC got, about 1.9 million. 1.9 million today, if they were all alive and still active, you're not going to win an election. We have to reach out to a new generation who have not seen UPC. We have UPC, what a monument. In all this campaign, I'm hearing people talking about health services, the hospitals are not okay. Who built those hospitals? Who established those issues? UPC. We need a generation of UPC who will go out and espouse the true beliefs of UPC. But while we're going in that direction, it does not mean I'm going to abuse, I'm going to attack these ones. If it is a question of somebody did us wrong, none of the three leading candidates can escape the whole issue if you're going to hold on to a grudge. But we have to, the country has to move. Now, if we are approached, it does not mean we have lost our position and we're saying that this is where we are. So this whole issue where people are jumping ahead of themselves, first of all, even at this stage, I have nothing really to present to National Council other than the preliminary aspects from three different contenders. I can go to call a National Council and say, no, they want to talk in this direction, they want to talk in this, but there's nothing concrete to present. So when people jump ahead of themselves and not look at the reality, we have candidates, somebody was calling from Tororo. I will go to Tororo and campaign for the UPC candidates. But not the one, I mean, if somebody is sitting at home and saying that he's UPC and he's not willing to get out and campaign for UPC, definitely we're going to be in a problem. Somebody who was calling saying that the one from Lira, I have not gone to movement. I am not going to movement. Whoever has deceived you that we have gone to movement, it is not true. But we have a situation, we don't have a candidate. There's President Museveni, NRM, trying to talk to us, and we're listening, and we're talking. We have Amama Mbabazi talking to us. We're also talking. Amama Mbabazi is saying he's NRM original. So you have NRM Museveni, NRM Mbabazi, he wants to talk to UPC. That is a reality. You have Kiza Besigye, the Bush war doctor, former political commissar, former Minister of Internal Affairs under NRM when a lot of the things were happening. He's there. Kiza Besigye over time has demonstrated his resilience. And things which maybe some people don't know, that when Kiza Besigye was on his way to South Africa, he visited Lusaka. We received him, talked to him, and it has not been a problem. If at some point it comes to light the people who my late father met at different times, I think some people who are trying to take a very difficult or moral high horse would get shocked, because ultimately we're looking at Uganda. We're looking at how are we going to live within this Uganda. The principles of what you stand for, what you're aiming for, those for some of us cannot change.
Your late father worked with President Museveni, worked with the Prime Minister Rugunda, and worked with so many people, groomed many,
very many
generation leaders of this generation.
Of this generation who are participating.
Your concluding remark tonight.
My concluding remarks is basically to tell UPC members, don't jump ahead of yourself. In this election, let us support our candidates. Let us build our party. There is nobody who is going to build UPC for us. There is nobody who is going to sponsor UPC for us. It is us as UPC members who have to build UPC. If you say you believe in UPC, work for UPC. Support UPC candidates. I mean, those who are not standing should be out on the campaign trail. If you can fundraise, fundraise for UPC candidates. Support them in this election. We are rebuilding the party. UPC was not built overnight, and that struggle is going to continue. This whole issue of maligning and baseless rumors, what the president said is, we are talking. I have repeated, we are talking. Have we agreed? Have we come with a position? Is there alliance? Alliance is only by the National Council. There's no individual who has the ability to put UPC into an agreement or into whatever. It is through the organs of the party that UPC can be involved with another political party.
Honorable Jimmy Akena, President of Uganda People's Congress, thank you very much for your time. You've had him there. He's trying to be very explicit on his collaboration or talking to the different political parties now who are combing the villages of Uganda looking for votes so that they can be voted into power come February 2016. And if we can just be mature and remember that this is our country, and let us be passionate about our country, Uganda, and vote for only those people who can carry us forward. Doesn't matter what party affiliations they are from, but so long as they are passionate and committed about Uganda and they are peaceful.
Where there's a UPC, let them vote for the UPC.
So long as they are committed and passionate and they are not dividing us and we can move forward, okay, yeah, as a country, that will be great, because we need to stay in this country together as one unit. Good night, and God bless Uganda.